What is the true religion of Westeros? We've seen proof of several different religions with supernatural abilities associated with them. For example, the old gods with the three-eyed raven, the Lord of Light bringing people back to life and keeping Melisandre alive for centuries, and the many-faced god able to change people's appearances. So today we're going to break down every major faith in Westeros and beyond, and by the end I'll show you exactly which religion truly has the power in the world of Game of Thrones. In Westeros, 3 religions dominate: the Old Gods, the Faith of the Seven, and the Drowned God. The Old Gods are the original religion of Westeros, dating back thousands of years, long before the arrival of the Andals. They were first worshipped by the Children of the Forest, the earliest inhabitants of the land. The children carved faces into the weirwood trees, sacred sentinels that became the focal points of worship. The religion revolves around countless nameless nature gods, present in rivers, stones, trees, and even the living beings around you. About 12,000 years ago, the first men arrived from the eastern continent, seeking to expand into Westeros. Initially, they clashed with the children over land and the sacred weirwoods, cutting down forests and angering the original inhabitants. Eventually, a pact of peace was made, and the first men began to adopt the old gods, preserving the sacred weirwoods and continuing their quiet practices. Unlike other religions, the old gods have no formal holy texts or elaborate ceremonies. Worship is contemplative, performed quietly in godswoods, enclosed forest areas centered on weirwood trees. The weirwoods allow greenseers like Bran to see across time, witness distant events, and even control animals. The old gods are deeply tied to nature, memory, and the rhythms of the land, and they remain a subtle but powerful force in the north. Sworn oaths, promises, and even marriages are conducted before these trees, which act as living shrines. The old gods' influence remained strong in the north, where the first men settled, but their following slowly dwindled after the arrival of the Andals and the Faith of the Seven. Even by the time the main series unfolds, the old gods have fewer followers than ever. The Faith of the Seven arrived in Westeros about 6,000 years ago with the Andals, who conquered most of the southern kingdoms. This religion centers on a single deity with 7 aspects: the Father, Mother, Maiden, Crone, Warrior, Smith, and Stranger, each representing a different aspect of life. Unlike the old gods, the faith relies heavily on written texts, temples known as septs, and a structured clergy system. The Andals burned many of the weirwoods and replaced the old gods' worship in the south with their faith. Over time, the faith grew incredibly influential, guiding law, politics, and daily life. Noble houses often employed septas to educate daughters in its ways, while the Faith Militant, its military arm, once had the authority to judge even kings. Though its power waned during Targaryen rule, its societal grip remained strong. The faith is more rigid than the old gods, with numerous rules. Homosexuality, incest, except for the Targaryens, and kinslaying are all sins. Worship occurs in group prayer at septs, 7-sided temples with each wall honoring a different aspect of the god. Despite its lack of overt supernatural miracles, the faith's influence shapes Westerosi culture more than any other religion. On the Iron Islands, the Drowned God reigns supreme. This sea deity embodies the harsh, raiding culture of the Ironborn. Baptism by drowning and revival symbolizes rebirth, commitment, and fearlessness. Followers adhere to the Iron Price, taking possessions through conquest rather than purchase. The Drowned God encourages raiding, killing in battle, and the belief that death in the sea brings eternal life in the god's watery halls. They see him in a cosmic struggle against the Storm God, who lives in the sky and sends storms to challenge the Ironborn. Priests, known as Drowned Men, conduct baptisms and anoint kings with drowning ceremonies, and survival proves divine favor. While outsiders may view the faith as violent or cult-like, it is deeply ingrained in Ironborn culture, justifying piracy, courage, and devotion to the sea. Common prayers like "What is dead may never die" echo through rituals and daily life. Quick break. If you love epic fantasy, and I mean real epic fantasy, then this is definitely something you're gonna want on your radar. I've been watching some early footage of the Pendragon Cycle Rise of the Merlin, and what immediately stood out to me is that this isn't just a classic retelling of the King Arthur story. This is the story before Camelot, before the crown, before the legend we all think we know. This is about the rise of Merlin, not as a fantasy trope, but as a prophetic historical figure shaping the fate of Britain at the moment when the old world is collapsing and a new one is being born. And that's what makes this series feel so different. Over the last decade, fantasy has leaned hard into irony and subversion. Bigger budgets, sure, but fewer stories that actually believe in myth, heroism, faith, and sacrifice. The Pendragon Cycle is clearly aiming for the opposite: sincere, character-driven, myth made real. This is a 7-episode cinematic series shot across multiple international locations with full-scale battles, period-accurate production design, and an original orchestral score created specifically for the show. And the scale here is no joke. This story has been told for over 1,500 years, the production spans 2 continents, and the series has already racked up over 100 million views before episodes 1 and 2 even release. The Pendragon Cycle premieres on Daily Wire Plus tomorrow, January 22nd. If you're craving a return to classic epic storytelling, where legends are built, not deconstructed, check it out at www.pendragonseries.com. Alright, now back to the video. Across the Narrow Sea, the Lord of Light is a fire deity whose followers wield visibly supernatural powers. Worshippers, led by red priests and priestesses, see their god as the embodiment of life and light, opposed to the Great Other, representing darkness, ice, and death. Followers believe in prophecy, visions in flames, and the coming of a chosen one, known as the Prince that was promised. Practices often involve fire, ranging from simple bonfires to extreme acts like burning non-believers. Temples host nightly prayers, asking the Lord to cast away darkness. Holy texts claim that the current world is hell, and only the Lord of Light can save faithful followers. Miracles are dramatic: resurrection of the dead, including Jon Snow and Beric Dondarrion, shadow assassins, prophetic visions, and in some cases, extension of life by centuries, as we saw with Melisandre. The religion is arguably the most visibly supernatural, widespread in Essos, and heavily intertwined with politics and warfare. In Braavos, the faceless men worship the many-faced god, a deity of death. They see death as a gift, ending suffering and maintaining balance. Followers serve as assassins, believing they are instruments of their god, not acting out of personal desire. Their temple, the House of Black and White, is open to anyone seeking a peaceful death. Assassinations are carefully selected, and magical abilities allow followers to change their faces, including Arya Stark, who used these abilities to assassinate several targets. The Faceless Men remind us that influence can be subtle, lethal, and rooted in skill rather than spectacle. Beyond these major faiths, Essos is home to countless intriguing religions. The Bearded Priests of Norvos are warrior priests who blend martial skill with devotion. The Black Goat of Qohor is a grim, blood-sacrificing deity central to Qohor's culture. The Moonsingers of Yogos Nai are priestesses whose mystical songs guide their communities. The old gods of Valyria were once widespread in the Valyrian freehold, but are now mostly forgotten after the doom of Valyria. The Graces of Gishkari are priestesses maintaining control over Slaver's Bay. The Great Stallion is the Dothraki's nomadic horse god. The Great Shepherd is a peaceful deity of the Lazarene, symbolizing care and unity. And lastly, the Lion of the Night and the Maiden Maid of Light are chief gods in Yi Ti, reflecting exotic and rich pantheons. What's clear is that the world of Game of Thrones is saturated with religious belief. Some gods are tied to magic, some to culture, and some to survival and identity. Each faith has rituals, powers, and followers that shape the lands where they are worshipped, from the frozen north to the sun-scorched streets of Essos. So, which is the true religion of Westeros? Well, the religions with the most ties to supernatural works and magic in the real world are likely the Old Gods and the Lord of Light, while the most prevalent and powerful religion in society is likely the Faith of the Seven. But in the world of ice and fire, religion isn't just about faith. It's about history, magic, and the way people make sense of a dangerous, mysterious world. And that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and check out the video on your screen for some more of my content. Thanks for watching.